Got cheated on 13 years ago, stayed for the kids, now I'm ready to bounce. Story 1. My wife Amy F., 46, and I am 47 have been married for 25 years. We have 4 kids together, 15M, 15M, 15F, 17M, and 20M. The youngest are actual twins, not the Irish kind. About 13 years ago, I came home unexpectedly during the day to find one of Amy's male coworkers walking out. We'll call him Bob. He's around our age. I knew Amy and Bob were buddies at work. She would tell me occasionally how he would bring her breakfast or other little thoughtful gifts. I pressed her about it, and she would always say that they were just good friends and he knew when she was having a say TDA, etc. That day, I could tell by the look on his face that something was off. I confronted Amy and she confessed that they had been having an emotional affair. She admitted they had kissed and had feelings for each other. To this day, she maintains that they didn't have sex. I don't really believe it, but that's pretty irrelevant. I told her when we got married that I didn't trust many people, and that the only thing she could do to make me leave her was cheat, lie. My gut reaction was to leave then and there and file for divorce. Here's the kicker. Those same kids were 2, 4, and 7 at the time. I could not be the asshole who left 4 kids under 8 high and dry. She begged me to stay and work it out. Full disclosure, I worked midnights at the time and was not the most attentive husband. She was also going through finding out she had bipolar disorder. This factored in my decision to give her another chance on top of not wanting to leave the kids. Part of me died that day. It was the worst act of betrayal I could possibly imagine. We moved on and I buried it and ate HHT for the kids. Several months later, we bought a much bigger house in a much better part of town. New surroundings seemed to help me not relive that walk into the garage that day. One night I was up late watching TV. We had one iPad that all of us used for different stuff. I got on it and saw a tab open with a Yahoo email address I didn't recognize. Turns out Amy made that email so she could communicate with Bob without me seeing it on her phone. To this day, I remember where I was standing in the living room when I found it. I confronted her again, and I still didn't leave. About 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with PTSD for HT I've had to deal with in my first responder job over the years. When it manifested, I started having nightmares about old HT and turned into a completely unfeeling zombie. Being diagnosed helped a ton, as I got on medication and went to counseling. I also realized that this stuff was bubbling back to the surface. I came clean with her and explained that I have to move on. She was not happy. Amy does have bipolar disorder with major depression. At the same time, I told her, honestly, that I thought it would help me if we separated and started seeing other people. We both got Tinder and I went and had ons within a couple days. I know that was F-keek up and I take responsibility for it. Over the next 3 years since, there have been discussions over and over about it. There have also been threats of suicide. That brings me here now. In the last 2 days, I finally put my foot down and said we are telling the kids that we are separating and will be divorced. She refuses to tell them that it's a mutual decision. I refuse to tell them what their mom did to me. Today she left the house to clear her head. I made her promise me that she was not suicidal and that she had no intentions of harming herself. When she came home, she made sure I knew that she left with all her meds and that she had a plan. I am F-king furious. I feel super manipulated. I am honestly at a loss with what to do next. She will refuse any kind of inpatient treatment and I can't handle it anymore. Ada for leaving her now to try and find sanity for myself regardless of how it impacts her. Edit 1. Thank you very much to most of you for helping me feel validated in what I'm about to do. I wrote this post about half an hour after she came home and told me what she had planned on doing. I agree 100% that this was sheer manipulation. Mainly because I would not even have known about her plan unless she came home and explained how she didn't go through with it. I will add an edit tomorrow to address several of the comments. I also plan on keeping this post updated to let you know how it shakes out. Edit 2. I really do appreciate all the comments, most of which being some form of NTA, and a few pointing out that Ayada for staying twice like a schmuck. I'll address a few things that have come up repeatedly. I forgave her for what she did a long time ago. What I can't do is forget and move on while we live together. I fully realize now that it probably would have been best for all involved if we had split up. Still, I wrestle with the thought of potentially missing out on some great memories. I'm sure I'd still have them, just different ones. Edit 3. Just to comment on something I've seen a lot of. I've already shared too much info on myself, so FAK it. I'm a cop and have been for a long time. the requirements in my state to commit someone against their will are very specific. She has pushed that line, however, and I haven't ever called. It's extremely difficult to do, but I have decided it's happening if she gets close again. Ayata for not doing it before, but I think I just added it to my own a sandwich. First comment, TA. She is using her mental health to manipulate you, which in itself is Abu IV. I don't know how much of this should be hidden from the kids, though they are old enough to know a summary level version of the truth. If you don't give them that, their mom may try to turn it into you tearing apart the family. Summary version could go something like, mom made a mistake a few years ago and connected with another man. You two were able to move on from that until you realized that she never stopped communicating with him. Since trust is the basis of all marriages, you cannot stay married to her any longer. This also sets a good example for them in their future relationships. Second comment. When she threatens SUI, call for outside help and document the pattern of behavior. You deserve primary custody since her mental stability is in question, and it doesn't seem like she is doing everything she can to address it. Therapy and some accountability for her actions to start. I understand you were an EMS yourself and may still be. Thank you for doing what you could to help and save others, but you need this documented and have her explain to professionals her behavior. No, you can't force her into treatment, but you can force her to talk about it more with assistance like this. Depending on what she says, they might force her anyway, because threatening to end her life when she's faced with the consequences of her actions is a big deal. I have depressive bipolar type 2, and it's not an excuse for zero accountability for one's own actions. It can explain some odd behaviors but not excuse harmful ones. It's not a free pass to be STT your spouse. NTA. Third comment. She's weaponizing her mental illness against you. I have bipolar disorder. When experiencing a depressive episode and having suicidal ideations, I do not act like this. Threatening suicide like that is a form of control, manipulation, and ABSC. Call the cops, get the psych hold. That will be on record to help with custody of the kids. I'd venture to guess part of your PTSD is having to live with a woman you know has been cheating all these years and who has somehow still managed to make you the guilty party. It's time to get out for yourself and for the kids. I wouldn't, however, go full disclosure on the affair. I learned about infidelity involving my parents, nothing to this extent, when I was your kid's age, and it absolutely devastated me. I was not old enough to handle it. I'm not sure exactly what you should say, but I just wanted to share how that kind of revelation affected me as a teen. Story 2. Ada for refusing to let my neighbor borrow my dog for her wedding photos. So this is one of those situations where I can't believe I'm even writing it, but here we are. I 26F have a golden retriever named Bailey. Bailey is pretty much the sweetest dog on the planet, super friendly, loves everyone, and has that perfect golden fur that looks great in photos. My neighbor Karen, yes, that's actually her name, I'm not making it up, is getting married in a few weeks. We're not close, but we've always been on friendly terms, small talk in the hallway, exchanging cookies during the holidays, that sort of thing. A few days ago, Karen knocks on my door and asks if she can come in to talk. I thought it was something important, but instead, she starts gushing about how beautiful Bailey is and how she would perfectly match her wedding color scheme. I was a little confused but thanked her for the compliment, thinking that was it. But then she drops the bomb. She asks if she can borrow Bailey for her wedding photos. When I say borrow, I mean she wanted to take Bailey to her wedding venue, dress her up in some floral dog collar, and have her pose with the bridal party for a few hours. She even said it would mean the world to her, and that Bailey would get to be part of something truly special. She promised to take good care of her, and I could pick her up afterward. I was stunned. I tried to explain that Bailey isn't just some prop she can use for her photo shoot. She's my dog, my family. Plus, Bailey gets anxious around large groups of people she doesn't know, and I wasn't comfortable with the idea of her being away from me in a strange place. Karen didn't take this well. She started getting upset, saying that I was being selfish and that it's just a few hours. She said she's always admired Bailey and thought it would be the perfect touch to have her in the photos. When I still said no, she accused me of ruining her wedding dreams and stormed out of my apartment. The next day, I got a call from one of our other neighbors, who said Karen was telling everyone that I was being completely unreasonable and that I was holding my dog hostage just to spite her. Apparently, she even tried to get another neighbor to talk to me about it, as if that would change my mind. Now, a few people in our building are giving me weird looks, and I overheard someone saying I should just let her have the dog for a day. What's the big deal? I feel like I'm losing my mind here. Ada for refusing to let my neighbor borrow my dog for her wedding photos? First comment. If she's bad-mouthing and lying about you, then the gloves are off. Find the most gossipy neighbor you can and tell her how Karen beat down your door and demanded to take Bailey there and wouldn't explain what it was for. Say that you were terrified she meant to harm Bailey and Karen can't be in her right mind. Maybe it's the stress of the wedding, but she's gone off the deep end and couldn't handle being told no. NTA. Second comment. NTA. Anyone who thinks you should loan out your dog is a weirdo. If Karen brings it up again, agree, but tell her Bailey's rate is $250 an hour with a 12 HR men. If travel is more than 30 miles, a hotel must be reserved for the night before, night of and night after. Bailey is guaranteed a 30-min break every 2 hours in room with AC water, dog bed and chair and desk for professional handler provided. Third comment. NTA. What a crazy ask. Someone is delulu to think that she could use your puppers as a wedding prop. NTA. As for your neighbors, tell them you refuse to attend the cult that is Karen and her bridal audacity.